Well, good morning, Libby and Hayden. I hope you are enjoying class so far and have been reading the book on Strength Finders, Discover Your Clifton Strengths, and have taken the self assessment, even though I know it's due on Sunday. But I wanted to share with you my results from taking the Strength Finder. And I took it a few years ago when I taught the class the first time. And I actually have some clients in my consulting practice that have asked me to use it with employees. And so I've used it both in my academic teaching and then in my consulting practice as well. But here are my five strengths. The first one is input. It says people exceptionally talented in the input theme have a need to collect and archive. They may accumulate information, ideas, artifacts, or even relationships. Um, I can see myself there more in terms of, let me put on my glass, accumulating information, ideas, and relationships. Um, and I have a very good memory, so I tend to remember things that I've heard many years ago. And relationships, I've often said I don't have a best friend. I just have scores of really good friends and uh, colleagues and people in my network. And so I could see that being one of my strengths. The second is strategic. Said people exceptionally talented in the strategic theme create alternative ways to proceed. Faced with any given scenario, they can quickly spot the relevant patterns and issues. And I definitely see that in myself as well. If plan A doesn't work, let's go to plan B. And I can pretty quickly come up with a plan B. Um, and I am very good at identifying what I think will be potential issues, things that we need to possibly look out for, and and find a way to resolve it or work around it. The next one is achiever. People exceptionally talented in the achiever theme work hard and possess a great deal of stamina. They take immense satisfaction in being busy and productive. Definitely see myself in that role. Um, I always have goals. Start the year with things I want to achieve, and I was certainly like that in my uh, I'm going to say my career in the federal government, and even when I left the government and started my independent contracting, I always had things that I wanted to achieve, each year. And I do take a lot of satisfaction in being busy and productive. And now that, well, I still don't say I'm retired. I retired from the federal government. And I took an early retirement. I retired at 45. And retirement just meant I left the government and I'm now getting my annuity, but I left there to go work in private practice um, as a senior consultant for a high tech company. And then I worked there 3 years, and then I started my independent practice. And then when I finished my doctorate in 2003, I started academic teaching as well. And so now I'm doing primarily the academic teaching. I haven't worked in my consulting practice since the pandemic, and actually that's been by choice because things that have been offered to me weren't things that I was really interested in doing. And one of the joys of being at in my position at life that I'm retired from the federal government and I get Social Security and our home is paid for. I tell people I only do what brings me joy. And I teach at Mercer because Mercer brings me joy. I've taught at many schools, and Mercer has been by far my favorite. So I keep myself, busy and productive with Mercer. And then I also volunteer with the American Red Cross. And I have two or three positions with the Red Cross. And I'm enjoying my work there. So like I said, I really don't say that I'm retired. As my husband says, I don't retire. I just change careers. And so That's where I see myself. But like I said, but definitely have to stay busy and productive. I can only watch so much Netflix, and then I'm going crazy. Okay, four, connectedness. People exceptionally talented in the connectedness theme have faith in the links among all things. They believe there are few coincidences and that almost every event has meaning. And I do see that. I don't think things happen by happenstance. I do believe now I'm going to, you know, be honest with you, I'm a devout Christian. And so I do believe that everything that happens in my life is part of a bigger and a divine plan. And that as long as I'm yielding to that, you know, those things will happen. And but I I I really don't believe a lot in coincidences. I think you know most things in my life I think are pretty you know destined. Um, and then I'm definitely a person that has an internal locus of control and believe that I direct most of the things that happen in my life. I don't uh, think that I'm just you know uh, like I said, that things are just happening by happenstance. But I do believe that I have a great deal of control in the things that happen in my life, but that those things are all part of a much bigger divine plan. And so I can see, and sometimes you don't see the connectedness until after the fact. And then, okay, this is why this happened, and this is why I didn't get this job because this was the job that the Lord had for me. And because of that job, this is where I am today. And so I can see the pattern. But like I said, but sometimes you see the pattern when you're looking back, not when you're in the middle of it. And then finally, activator. People exceptionally talented in the activator theme can make things happen by turning thoughts into action. They want to do things now rather than simply talk about them. Definitely, I am that type of person. Let's not sit around talking about it. Let's get it done. I remember when I was in the federal government and I worked on a director's staff. Like every, you know, executive, you know, director and above had a staff of people that worked for him or her that managed the work of that organization. And I worked on my director staff, and I basically did, I would say, the admin things, HR. I've done accounting, I've done contracting and procurement, pretty much everything that it takes to run an organization except for the technical work because while I worked in the IT organization at the IRS, I'm not an IT professional. So I did all the other things that it takes to run the organization. Well, the director came and he had a meeting with the staff and he had announced that at his staff meeting, you know, that the assistant commissioner had with all the directors, the assistant commissioner had raised the idea of having a job fair because they were having a hard time recruiting computer specialists. And I remember everybody laughed and talked about how that it just wasn't even feasible. And I decided to look into it. And so I started calling around. I called the Office of Personnel Management and just various organizations that I knew would have some role in it to find out what it would take to have a job fair. And I put the plan together and I presented the plan. And long story short, we had the job fair. It was the first time a government agency had a job fair. And after that, other agencies jumped on the bandwagon. And then eventually, Office of Personnel Management just took it over and just started having job fairs that all government agencies could participate in. And I received a promotion because of that. First of all, coming up with the idea, and then I led the whole effort, even though, you know, my supervisor and the other staff chiefs were a higher grade than I was. Like I said, it was my vision. I had made the contacts. I knew what it took to make it happen, and they just stepped back and let me take it over. And even to this day, it's still one of my proudest accomplishments because they all said it couldn't be done. And I'm one of those, when you tell me something can't be done, it's like saying sick 'em to a dog. I just go after it. And so I definitely see me being an activator. So those are my 5 top strength: input, strategic, achiever, connectedness, and activator. And so I will say I think that having those strengths has contributed to my success, not only in the federal government and not only in my private practice, but also in my academic career as well. So I look forward to hearing from you and what your strengths are and how you see them manifested in your career. Bye bye.